This is the Toward a New World podcast with your host, Corinna Stoffel. As a space for all things regarding the global, collective transition we are in, we have conversations about transition, separation, and connection regarding oneself, others, and the earth. The aim is to educate, empower, and inspire. Welcome to today's podcast, which is in a way an interesting one for me. I titled it A Different Perspective on Climate Change. And the reason being, in a way, is I came across a podcast this weekend that introduced me to some new thoughts, ideas that, yes, made sense to me, but I had never looked at it from that perspective. And what came up then, as I was doing my usual thing, exploring, contemplating, that I should be talking today about climate change and take you on this kind of exploration that I tend to do. So most of us notice that the climate is changing. It's getting warmer, it's getting colder, wetter, drier, depends on where you live. For some, it doesn't matter. Others are afraid of where this will go. And now here is one of the new thoughts. What we judge, we attract. What we judge, we attract. Now, it makes sense to me from the perspective of how the universe works that I am familiar with. You focus on something, that focus gives it energy, and then as a result of getting that energy, you get more of it. So with climate change, where I went then was as a sudden, is it more emission of the CO2 independently of anything, or is our judgment creating more emission of CO2, which creates the climate change? I hope you can follow me. And I'm also very aware that this is not scientific, quote unquote. And science does not necessarily look at all of the connections that are there. With cutting it down into a smaller possible slice, we lose out the sight of where things are connected. Like, just as an example, what came for me was in movies. How much do they use music to evoke emotion? In sound vibration, you can show by putting sand on a plate that then gets vibrated with that sound. There is also all the experiments that Masaru Emoto did with projecting love or hate onto a glass of water and then looking at the crystals that are being formed. Love creates beautifully symmetrical crystals. Hate is just a total jumble of chaos. So I then went and used wildfires because we have, according to science, more wildfires due to drought and which is due to climate change. So we judge wildfires. Why do we judge them? Landscape gets destroyed, air pollution gets created, property gets destroyed, and there is even people who have died in those wildfires. Yeah. And have we looked at the earth? Have we wondered, where's the earth about wildfires? Now, the earth does not judge what is going on in regards to wildfire or not, or flood or so. But I also know that, for instance, redwood cones open only due to fire. So in order to have new redwood trees, the cones need to be burned, touched by fire. Is the earth clearing the current environment to create a new environment for a different climate? And we looked at that. The earth is conscious. And that means that the earth knows what she is doing, what is going on. I know from the current scientific perspective that, for instance, if we have a really, really hot fire, it seals the soil, which means nothing can grow. And this is current thinking. What if we do not know yet what the effect of sealing the soil is? Yes, next year, probably nothing will grow. But how does it work for another 5-10 years? That is no time from an earth perspective. So I'm just sitting with that and allow, my thoughts to go wherever they want to go. Interestingly, having grown up Catholic, my thoughts went to, Jesus told us not to judge. How about that? What is the mission of our tendency to judge? What is the effect? And when I ask what is the effect, there is an effect on me if I judge and what I judge. And what is the collective effect if thousands, millions of people judge? I know that judgment destroys. How do I know that? Let me ask you a question. How do you feel after you've been judged? Are you uplifted and energized, or are you feeling down and almost rejected? We see the world through our lens. And therefore there is good and bad. And how much is that even to our advantage, so to speak? Not necessarily. I seriously doubt that it is a neutral, that we are able to be neutral. We see the world through our lens, through our beliefs that we have, through our conclusions. And how much do we consider different points of views? Because I can look at an event from my perspective, but we all know that somebody else looks at it from a different perspective. And I just need to look at my own family as all my siblings and I, we all experienced the same event. Yet there are different stories, what that event was all about. Because we each one looked through our perspective, through our lens. And then as I, played with it some more, there was some, it wasn't with climate change, but I became aware that my thought went then, oh, okay, then I stopped judging it, so I don't have more of it. Oh, wait a second. There is still judgment involved. I don't like to have more of it. Therefore, I'm stopping mentally, cognitively judging. But there is still that judgment present. So that puts me on another crossroad. Am I willing to acknowledge that there is still some form of judgment? Or am I truly in allowance of what is? Because only allowance does not involve any kind of judgment. And that is a somewhat tricky place where, at least for myself, I really recognized how much I need to stay aware moment to moment to moment. What am I thinking? And why am I thinking that? What is behind it? So, how do I get to allowance? Then is the big question. And that requires a total shift in perspective. So I'm not sure how far this has been helpful for you. I am exploring. I'm not staying here with this podcast, oh, this is true, this is not true, this is how it's supposed to be. I wanted to let you in on what is going on in my head. How do I come up with some of those outlandish, different thoughts and perspectives? But that is what's going on. Looking at it from all kinds of different angles. Being willing to really be with something. And not just, oh yeah, I know, and I'm done. I'm stepping out of it. I let the energy of whatever the thought is that I am perceiving to be with me and follow that energy and then learn what is underneath it, what's behind it, and then go with that. And then go with the next thing and the next thing. So I don't know if this is something that you might enjoy doing for yourself in regards to things that are going on for your life. And how much, if we start looking at the bigger issues that we all are facing, because we are in a transition right now, and start looking at it from different perspectives, and understand that this time it's not tweaking something that will solve the issues. This time it's not a leader stepping forward and we can follow their wisdom. This time it's really on each one of us. each one of us changing to a different, shall I call it, level of consciousness. And that reminds me of Einstein saying, you cannot solve a problem from the same level of thinking that created it. So where do we need to go? What is up? And, please let me know what you think. Post it in a comment. I look forward to them. And until next week.